Hello, welcome to battle report number 4, bolt action CP. Tonight I'm facing Andre again. We're doing a 1200 point battle with mission is Demolition. Here's the board. It's kind of half, right on the edge of the town. Here's the destroyed town. Got a little factory in there, or storage tanks. So mission is Demolition. Andre put his base right there, and my base is right there. So we're both on the same side of the board, so maybe I should have put it on the other side just to make it more interesting. So for me, I'm using the Americans tonight. So I got 2 squads of regulars, 1 10-man, 1 9-man, 2 BARs in each. The sergeant has a submachine gun. Got a squad of rangers, submachine gun, BAR, light machine gun. I got a squad of regular engineers, 2 submachine guns and a flamethrower. And another squad of, these guys are paratroops. They got 3 submachine guns, light machine gun. So I got a lot of them. Decided to go max out infantry here. I also have a bazooka, a jeep. I got a medium mortar with a spotter, heavy machine gun, and light howitzer. And the Sherman is standing in as a 105 Sherman today. So we'll come over here, and Andre will tell you what he has.
So tonight I am going with 2 platoons. I'm going to have 2 Sherman 2s, 1 per platoon. I have a sniper team. Excuse me. I've got a 17-pounder super heavy anti-tank gun. I've got a 10-man squad of commandos, all with submachine guns. For my officers, I am running second lieutenants, inexperienced. So
Inexperienced second lieutenants, all right.
So yeah, they're gonna make the game there.
They're gonna work well with all the veteran troops.
Yes, paratroopers and commandos. Yes,
I'm sure they have a lot of respect for them.
no doubt. We've got a 3-ton truck, and for the airborne sections, I've got 3 5-man sections, all with submachine guns, and of course my artillery observer.
Yeah. And
a heavy mortar. That rounds out my side.
Okay. So that's the armies. Oh, I forgot I also have a regular lieutenant with a guy with both SMGs. I'm going to try out the medic. I think I've used him once. He didn't really do anything, but I want to try him again. So, and then a sniper.
And my army rule is up and at 'em. Hence all the submachine guns.
Okay, so Andre's going assault. So this is a good board for assault, I think. You can move up and cover and spring out of spring out of nowhere.
And I'm trying out bicycles for the first time. So
yeah,
all my paratroopers are on bikes.
Yeah, which they're not going to get far because you have to start on a road, but over here you'll be able to get up to the crater. So anyway, that's it for the mission, the armies, and we'll be right back when we deploy our first half of our army. Okay, here we are after deployment. We each had to deploy up to half our troops, and the rest are coming in reserve. We had a 12-inch deployment zone. So on my side, I decided to put my 50 cal here. Well, first of all, Andre had to deploy first because he won the role, so he got to. I don't think he's too happy about it. Got to deploy. So he has what? 13 order dice.
13 dice.
So you can rounding down, so you can deploy 6 units. So
I've got my 3-ton truck with my 10 commandos. Okay. The Sherman, the 17-pounder. The mortar team, and rounded out by the spotter, who wound up in the building.
Okay.
Mostly because that was the only place he could think of being without getting picked off by the sniper.
Okay. And then the rest of your guys, this is what's coming in reserve. All the 5-man squads and the tank and the lieutenant and the sniper. So the Americans got to deploy second, so I saw them put that truck down. So I put this 50 cal over here just to, well, I always like to put it on a flank. It's just a good unit to hold down a flank with. My objectives here, I put a squad of paratroops and their light howitzer there. And we kind of messed up by putting both objectives on this side because we realized there's going to be a ghost town over here pretty much. So I don't know, maybe we'll get into it over here in the city, but maybe not. So for the rest of my guys, I had my ranger squad there, and they used their free move to go up there. Sniper's right there, obvious what he's going to do or try to do. My mortar behind the building, and his spotter's right there, so he's got a good field of view to the front that the mortar can't see, and then the Sherman is deployed right there. So we're going to go over what our strategy is privately, each one of us, and then at the end we'll see if any of our plan worked or if it just went to hell as soon as the bullets started flying. So we'll be back with our plans. Okay, so my strategy for my guys is I brought all infantry basically except the one tank. I know he's going to rush everything probably on this side, so I'm going to bring probably one more squad of infantry, the 9-man or the 10-man squad up here to try to help these guys hold the objective. I'll use the mortar to fire this way mainly, but I do want to try to move around through here a little bit too. I don't know if he's going to try that or not, but I am going to send the Sherman, the Rangers are going to move up along there, and we're going to try to just put some fire on that gun. Depends on what happens with that building is what's going to happen with the engineers. So I'm afraid that they're probably going to wind up being used to, if they make it, fire the flamethrower off into that building. I've noticed that most of the plans don't work. I usually have a plan kind of in my head, but of course my opponent has a plan and I have to react to him and he has to react to me. So I might try to really stick to my plan this time and just see if it works. I don't know how great of a plan is, but I would like to get this part of the board involved in the game. I should have put my objective over there. Originally put it there, but I changed my mind. So anyway, that's the American plan. No outflankers. I don't know if he's outflanking or not, but I hope not. Or I guess he would have had to declare that already. So anyway, I'll give you over to Andre and he can tell you his plan for the British.
So the British strategy is primarily to make the best use I can of my heavy guns. And it turns out I've got 2 Shermans and the super heavy anti-tank gun. With those heavy weapons, I wanted to have a fairly open field of fire. So that's why I tried to bring the fight onto this more open side of the board. What I hope to do is to bring up and crash this truck through the fence, getting close enough that I will be able to run into this building as soon as possible. In doing that, I will be holding the nearest piece of heavy cover to the enemy objective and hopefully distancing the Americans from my objective. I decided to bring in the mortar early on, knowing that there would be some entrenched enemy units that I would want to start pounding on and hopefully get them into a position where they're actually having to move around. The artillery spotter, I assumed he would have some good targets to look at and probably wouldn't live long enough if he came in off the edge of the board. And it turns out we've got a fairly heavy concentration of Americans back over here. So we'll see what it looks like at the end of this turn in terms of targets. So Initially, I'm attempting to take the farmhouse, bring my reinforcements up, take out as much of Travis's heavy emplacements as I can, and slowly move forward, or be in a position to rush the objective at the end. Having 2 tanks which can take the objective, I am hoping that we can each destroy 1 tank of each other's, and that'll leave me 1 to make it real difficult to stop me pushing into the objective. That's the plan.
Alright, so here we are at the end of turn 1. Not a lot of action. Wasn't a lot of units on the board. Most are coming in next turn, but in this turn, on this side, the American side, the Sherman drove up here, fired on the AT gun and missed, with the machine gun and his main gun. These Rangers took a shot at the spotter and missed, and so did the sniper. Of course, he rolled a 2. He only needed a 3. Back here, the light howitzer fired on the heavy gun and missed, as well as the mortar as well. That's why there's 2 ranged in, or 2 pieces of smoke there, because both indirect fire units fired at them. Over here, the British, the truck that was there broke through that fence, drove up there, advanced up there, and then these commandos got out, ran through there and into that room. So once again, Andre is in the building. Oh, sorry about that. The tank advanced and fired on the 50 cal, who went down, so the tank missed. And the heavy gun rotated on the spot to face that direction where the Sherman is. Not sure if heavy gun can turn, but we're just saying they can because it's just spinning on the spot. So British heavy mortar tried to fire on, or he did fire on the light howitzer and missed. So he's got a one shot on here, and he needs a 5 next turn. Both of mine need a 5 over there, and I think that was it, huh?
So no pins, no casualties.
Yeah, nothing happened. Oh yeah, the spotter dropped his smoke there, so why don't you go ahead and roll that real quick,
We'll
Andre.
have some excitement here at the top of the first, or top of the second. So here's the roll, and
I think it's coming in 4, 5, 6, right?
So get some pins on those boys.
So we'll resolve that and go on to turn 2. Okay, here we are at the end of turn 2. Just as suspected, the middle is becoming a hot spot again. My Rangers in there took fire from that tank who drove down the road, fired everything, HE and everything, and missed. They went down, so it made them harder to hit, but he did wind up putting 1 pin on them. Sniper failed to rally. We had 2 squads of bicycle mounted paratroopers come down the road. They ran, so they're there now. Over here, my tank scooted up here, advanced, tried to fire around that building and missed. I had my 9-man squad come out. They're gonna try to skirt along here. My engineers came in, decided to stop waiting, so I brought them in early. I didn't know if I was gonna bring them here or there, but I brought them in on this side, so there they are. My howitzer fired. I don't even remember what my howitzer did. Oh, he moved up. That's right, because he was getting ranged in on. So he moved to get out to get that range in marker off of him. These guys had the range in marker from the heavy howitzer or heavy mortar, so they scooted. And then my bazooka came on back here. Over here, I had my 50 cal, which is now gone. It got wiped out by the commandos in that building with some lucky ass shooting. All they have is submachine guns, and they wound up wiping out the whole unit. Long range, cover, everything. So they got some good rolling. The tank, before the 50 cal died, the tank fired everything and whiffed big time and missed on the 50 cal team. And before that, even the 50 cal team fired on the truck, who was kind of stuck in this field here. He didn't know what to do, so he just backed out, and then the 50 cal did his thing. Pretty much I just take the 50 cal to kill trucks, and that's what he always does. So he did his job. And then another squad of 5 paratroops ran in here on this side, and the gun fired at the Sherman and missed, and the mortar finally hit, so he's hitting on 2s from now on. He killed 1 guy, I think, but he's hitting on 2s from now on. So, and the British sniper moved on, and that was about it. The 2 inexperienced lieutenants didn't come on. That's what you get for taking inexperienced. I think that's about it.
Forget the bicycle troops.
Oh yes, the bicycles. And we played Queen Bicycle when they came on because Andre wanted to hear it. So there they are. They rode in with their
Bicycles.
with their bells ringing and everything, and now they're sitting there. And I'm sure this looks like a nice tempting target for them. So we'll see what happens. They all have submachine guns. They get 2 attacks each. Anyway, most everything. Oh, I failed orders on. That infantry squad failed an order, the lieutenant, and the bazooka came in without the jeep, so the lieutenant's just going to get in the jeep, I think. So anyway, I got 3 units left that failed orders, and he's got 2. So anyway, that's it for turn 2. We'll go on to turn 3. Alright, here we are at the end of turn 3. A couple of important things happened. First, in the middle here, they was kind of get clogged up. The Rangers decided to pull back a little bit, and they fired at the commando squad that was there. Put a pin on them, I think killed one of them. And then the sniper that was there, the commandos used their up and at 'em rule and assaulted him and killed him. But he killed one of them in return. My officer got in his jeep and drove up, jumped out, unloaded, and didn't do anything on him, but that doesn't matter because of the up and at 'em rule. The Sherman there, my Sherman was there. He drove around, got within point blank, hit, but failed to penetrate, so he put a pin on. So that was a big whiff there. I got lucky, and then he decided to bust ass through this ruin here and fired point blank on these guys with his 105 howitzer. They went down and he rolled a 2, so he missed. And then the 2 inexperienced lieutenants finally decided to come on, so they both ran on. The engineers just moved up into the woods a little bit, fired on the house, put a pin on them. The airborne squad was there, took a shot from the mortar over there, missed, so they moved back behind the wall, fired them there, and these guys, the commandos in the building, put a pin on them. The commandos rallied. They passed a rally order, so they're back to no pins and they're still in the building. I had my light howitzer was there. It's not there anymore. The tank shot at it but missed, but then the 17 pounder, which is now gone, shot it with an HE. Since we're playing the .NET rules, it does D6 hits, and he wiped it out. And then right after that, my mortar, which was ranged in, fired and killed all but one, and then all but one of the crew with a 17 pounder, and they failed their morale check, so they ran off. So he's missing his 17 pounder, and I'm missing my light howitzer. Other than that, anything else, Andre?
I think that covers it.
Yeah, this squad, regular infantry, came in and fired on those guys and put 1 pin on them. So now we're back to, now we'll be at turn 4, and we will see you at the end of turn 4. All right, turn 4 is over. So Andre's making a big push over on this side for my objective. The engineers were there. They early in the turn they decided to go up and use a flamethrower and try to burn out those commandos, but they only killed 3 of them. The flamethrower kind of whiffed a little bit, but it did kill 3 of them. But then the commandos jumped out and assaulted them across the fence and wiped them out. So they killed 8 of them, and they're down to 4 guys. Over here in the middle, that 2-man squad that was in the crater moved up and fired on these guys, put another pin on them. So they were up to 4 pins. And then they did a rallying pass and lost all their pins, so they're free to do something on the next turn. And the other squad moved up into the crater and killed the lieutenant's assistant. Over here with the tanks, my tank drove out, did his turn, and fired almost, he wasn't quite point blank, but he still hit. And since it's a medium howitzer, so it's 2d6. You know what? I would have did it because I was doing only +2. It's +3 for the medium howitzer.
Oops.
So anyway, I whiffed on that one. I should have probably did something to him, but I screwed that up. So he should be something should be anyway. But I did put 2 pins on him. Yeah, I put 2 pins on him. I did hit him. I screwed up by not remembering it was a medium howitzer. Anyway, these guys ran out and shot at those. Well, they advanced out, shot at them, put a pin on them. The mortar, he just used his spotter, who's got all those pins on him still, and tried to start ranging in on his heavy mortar over there. His heavy mortar shot and tried to hit the airborne who were there, and they moved. So they've been playing this game of chicken the whole time, getting shot at, move. This squad fired at those guys who were there and put a pin on them, but they passed their order and ran up here. So he's got his tank who drove up, put all his fire into the bazooka who went down, and so he missed. So he's got a small squad there and those guys, and his inexperienced lieutenant who's kind of just chilling out back there. What else happened, Andre? Is that it? The main thing was that thing.
Yeah, which was kind of foregone once you.
He's down to 4. I lost my entire engineer squad. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 squads in this vicinity, and I have 1, 2, 3.
You forgot my epic Sherman failing to pass its order.
Oh yeah,
rotated the turret and couldn't get the nerve to pull the trigger.
Yeah, he forgot to move his lieutenant up, so he failed his order by 1. But if he would have moved his lieutenant up first, he would have passed. So that was a mistake, but I guess not as big as my mistake of possibly killing the tank and not even knowing it. So I keep forgetting that that's the 105 2d6 Sherman. So anyway, that's it for turn 4, so we will be on to turn 5. Alright, well here we are at the end of the game. We didn't make it through the end of turn 5 because Andre won by touching the objective. And the bazooka fired earlier and missed. And there's nothing I could do. I don't have any kind of anti-tank weapons over here at all. So all he had to do was touch the objective, and at the end of this turn, if I can't get him off of it, which I can't, then the game's over. So he moved his tank up, got in contact, and then won by blowing up my base. So once again, I kind of got just the bloodlust built up a little bit. Started going after enemy units.
Exactly what happened, and it worked.
You know, I should have. I didn't know the rules. I thought that I didn't know that just any unit touching, besides an empty transport, touching the base would end the game. So if I knew that, I could have driven, instead of turning and firing, and I finally did kill that tank, but it cost me the game pretty much, because if I would have just kept driving, I could have got over there and possibly survived Andre's 2 tanks, which probably would have came back, but we'll never know. But I did wind up wiping out those commandos between the Rangers and the Airborne, firing everything. They wiped them out. This squad of regular infantry moved up and killed all but one of those guys. So we'll come back and we'll talk about our plans. All right, so we're back. We're going to go over our plans that we made earlier at the beginning. And my plan was, I wanted to kind of get this part of the board in the game, so I wanted to bring a squad and the tank. I pretty much stuck to that. The tank made it all the way over there, and that squad kind of got sidetracked, but there's just not enough time to go all the way around and all the way over. So Andre didn't buy the bait, didn't take the bait, and he didn't bring anyone over here. So that kind of diversion, trying to draw him this way, didn't help, or didn't work. And I didn't hold the objective over here. The engineers made it to the building. My plan was to use them because I knew that you were going to go into that building. Yep. And I knew that, okay, I got engineers. If it was one of the 5-man squads, I probably could have wiped them out, but the 10-man commando squad, even with the flamethrower, just wasn't enough firepower. So, but it did draw them out of the building, because you had to use your up and atom to remove all your pins.
I would have loved to have just sat there and shot you with the submachine guns, but at -3 it wasn't happening.
Right, so you were forced to assault, and with the new rules, FAQ that came out, you can no longer consolidate back into the building.
Well, so, and with a roll of a 1, I wouldn't have made it anyway.
Right, so your consolidation roll didn't, with that you wouldn't have made it anyway. So that left you sitting out there, and I was able to finally take that unit out. So so go ahead and go over your plan.
Well, I was working on using my superior firepower, which for the most part worked out. I was able to move up and bring the Sherman in for the win. The plan of trading the heavy anti-tank gun and the howitzer worked out exactly on the same turn. Those two were each wiped out. I did think that I was going to be able to trade a tank for a tank. That didn't quite happen as planned, but the having to spend the extra 3 turns to kill my Sherman did take Travis's tank out of the quest for my objective, which worked out. Had he actually come back and tried to contest that objective, it would have distracted both the Sherman that he blew up and the other Sherman to try and keep him from that objective. I think I could have done it, but it would have precluded my getting out to the objective, and my infantry forces were insufficient, even though I was able to take the building early just like I wanted. I didn't have sufficient infantry forces to try to take the objective against the American forces that were left deep. So had Travis read the rules and attempted to win the game, I think this would have ended in a draw.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so anyway, that's not reading the rules. That's not a good way to start a battle, not knowing the objective. Sometimes I just get caught up in wanting to kill enemies, especially tanks. I want to kill enemy tanks, especially with my tanks. So, but anyway, that's it. Andre won. The British won this one. I made a couple of mistakes. First of all, I could have killed that tank a turn earlier if I remembered that was a 2d6 cannon, and then I maybe could have been back there, but probably not. But it's possible. And that might have changed the whole thing too, because that tank would have been dead a whole turn earlier. So.
It probably would have kept my other Sherman back to
Yeah.
try and go into ambush to catch you driving across.
I think I'm just going to start taking the 76 millimeter Sherman from now on, because the way we're playing the .NET rules, you get D6 anyway, and then you get the heavy anti-tank gun. So I brought that with the 2d6, the howitzer to take out infantry, and it didn't take out any infantry except for with its machine guns. It killed that inexperienced lieutenant. So
I do have to say the massed American infantry was real difficult to deal with.
yeah, I wanted to try a lot of infantry, and they actually did pretty well, especially when you're only taking your 5-man squads. I mean, if you have a 5-man squad and you take a casualty, that's a big deal. I mean, you're losing 20% of your squad in one. I mean, they're veterans, but still, I was losing, this squad of Rangers. They took a lot of casualties, but they're still there. So.
Well, I think my thinking was that the Shermans would be able to deal effectively with your infantry, and they didn't. And that was the big difference there. Early on, the Shermans were just ineffective. Actually, they were ineffective pretty much the whole game except for winning it.
Yeah, they did whiff a lot. They had more than one turn of not hitting or doing anything. So anyway, it was a good game, and we'll be back next time for another battle report. Thank you.